That happened this week. Let's bring in the Friday gaggle. The AP's Liz Sidoti, Mattie Duppler of Americans for Tax Reform, and former Reid spokesman Rodell Mollineau of American Bridge 21st Century Now. Rodell, I want to start with you with what happened in the Senate. This has been an escalation. I would say it started in the Clinton years, and then Democrats escalated, and then Republicans took it to another level. Is this going to have major negative repercussions on how the U.S. Senate works?
I think it will eventually, but I also understand why they did it. You know, you've got 82 nominations since Obama's been president that they've stalled. Only 160, like, in all of, like, history. 82 of them under this president. Yeah, I mean,
the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, they are.
It was clear that this was not. But Mattie, you work for one of these special interest groups, and I say this because I feel as if the special interest groups, and this, you know, I'll say you see it on the left too, that you hold senators to another standard. That if voting no's not enough, that you've got to, if you want to get rid of a nominee and hold up a nominee, you've got to hold them up. You've got to filibuster. Do you think maybe special interest groups sort of escalated this? Well,
you know, our special interests are taxpayers. We're trying to argue for smaller government. All we want are our senators who, you know, stand by their promise to taxpayers not to raise taxes. But I think that the interesting thing here with what happened yesterday is that Harry Reid is the only person who can't make these Senate rules work. You know, your old boss, Tom Daschle, made it work. We've had years and years of majority leaders who've been able to work through these rules. Why is Harry Reid the person who can't get his conference together to get something done without completely breaking the rules of the Senate?
Well, I think what's interesting here is that there were these moderate gangs that used to solve these problems. They didn't seem to want to participate this time.
No, I think what's also...
I think they're fed up.
I think everybody's fed up. I think the American people are fed up. And, you know, what they're saying is this could go either way. They're going to say, oh, there's more partisanship. And or, oh, finally, someone's trying to do something to break the mold. Or they don't care.
They're more mad about health care.
Sure, of course. and I almost raised the question of, well, you know, doesn't every institution have to change to some degree? Why is the Senate any different? And I think that could be the next step in this conversation.
I want to go to 2016. We've seen all this talk about governors. Obviously, the Republicans, they know their Washington brand is a mess, Rodell. They want the governors to be the answer. How do you think they've done this week? You're in the midst. You're trying to stop you don't want the Republicans to be able to rebrand themselves outside of Washington, but do you think they're onto something here?
Well, I don't know. Everything since this Republican autopsy, where they're supposed to actually focus on LGBT, women, minorities, they've dropped the ball time and time again. So I'm not sure if Chris Christie is what's going to, you know, the medicine that ails them.
Scott Walker, you're from Wisconsin. I get that if he wins re-election, he will have a better electoral resume than Chris Christie, maybe the guy that's more likely to unite the party between its two wings. Is he pushing the envelope a little bit too much? Could Wisconsin vote? Hey, slow down on your ambition here. Don't forget you're running for re-election.
Well, Scott Walker, I think, has a very interesting test case because of all the recalls that happened in Wisconsin. Excuse me. He was able to go through this again, even though Wisconsin voters were so fatigued. It was something like, I don't know, their 15th vote they were taking in 3 years, and win re-election. And he was able to get, I think, something like 11% of Obama voters. And part of it was because people were anti-recall.
They were anti-recall, not necessarily pro-Walker.
But also, if you're looking at this saying that people are thinking he's going to push the envelope, those are generally people who aren't going to cross the aisle just for a recall vote. They probably won't turn out. So that they still turned out and still voted for the governor, I think shows that he has a lot of appeal for folks who maybe traditionally wouldn't be on the Republican ticket.
I hear you, but do you think Wisconsin voters, I think that's the thing, when you're running in 2014, if you look like you're not going to stick around very long, does that hurt you in the re-election?
Well, I always lived in a blue Wisconsin, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around a red Wisconsin.
Liz, we had Hillary Clinton this week. I thought it was interesting. We saw a couple of test cases in some polls. Colorado, and I think there's something going on in Colorado that's Democrats have some problems there because even her numbers were not good. We've seen she has shown strength even in this Democratic dip in all these poll numbers. Florida, for instance, showing she's ahead of Jeb Bush. So she's got, we're seeing that she's still, her brand is holding up even as Democrats get drugged down, other than in a place like Colorado.
Okay, sure, but it's still so far out that the only thing that these polls are measuring is name recognition. So, you know, I don't put a lot of stock in these early polls in swing states, and I think that there's a lot of time between now and the end of the thing.
Don't give the conventional wisdom answer. That's easy. That's the cop-out answer. That's the cop-out answer. And all Republicans are going to get measured as to how well they perform against Hillary, though, are they not?
Yeah.
Fair or unfair?
But we have a great bench. I think all of our governors are really going going to put up a good fight.
I think Marco Rubio should be worried about re-election more than...
I think he's doing an okay job so far. I think that he has actually hedged his bets all right. He's in a good position going into 2016.
All right. I got to stop it here. We try to get through a lot of stuff.